Hey everyone, welcome back to my Dev Web App channel. Today I'll provide and explain 15 code examples related to the Node.js event loop. Questions about the event loop are frequently asked in Node.js interviews because they demonstrate your understanding of core Node.js concepts and writing efficient node blocking code. So I opened a document from Node.js and as you can see, we have event loop and event loop diagram. And the diagram shows a simplified overview of the event loop's order of operations. And as you can see, we have first phase timers. And I've prepared several code examples and will demonstrate working of event loop by examples. Okay, and we have first example, and as you can see, we have just console log and then function set timeout, and we provide some callback, and it should be executed immediately without any timeout. And at the end, we have console log end. And can you guess the output of this code? Let me run this script with not1 JS. And as you can see, we have start and only then set timeout. The engine executed line 4, then it added callback to timers phase and then executed line 10. And after that, timers phase started executing callbacks inside event loop, and we saw set timeout. Okay, and let's go next to the second example, and here we have input or input output events, and it's a whole phase, and we have it here. And I will not show some pending callbacks because they might be different from poll phase, and also idle prepare is for some internal Node.js executions, and usually we don't deal with this phase. Okay, and as you can see, we have whole phase, and let me show you example. I have console log start, and then reading this current Node2.js file, and after reading the file, I'll provide callback, and then we have console log end. And let me run my script, and as you can see, I have start and read file callback, and that's because we have event loop here and whole phase. Let's move on to the third example, and here we have that immediate, and it's a check phase. Let's see check our diagram, and as you can see, we have check phase after poll, and this check phase is special for that immediate, and we can run some code after poll phase. Okay, and let me clear console and run my script. And as you can see, we also have start and only then set immediate in the check phase. Okay, and let's go to the fourth example. And now we have combined set timeout and set immediate. And actually, I took this example from this doc. And as you can see, the order in which the timers are executed will vary depending on the context in which they are called. If both are called from within the main module, then timing will be bound by the performance of the process. And let me run it several times. And I'm going to run. And as you can see, we have start end and that immediate and only then timeout. And I have the same. And let's try one more time. And this time we have timeout and only then immediate. So we cannot predict the order of these callbacks here from the main thread. Okay, and let's go to the example 5. I'm going to clear my console and let's check. And here we have input output events, and inside this event we have set timeout and set immediate. And this time we can predict the order because we have, let me show you, we have poll phase, and then after poll phase we have check phase, and that immediate will be executed, and only then timers. And let's try to run this example several times. And as you can see, we have read file callback and then immediate. And let me try it again and again and again and again and again. And we have immediate every time I run the script, and this differs from the example 4, where we have different orders for callbacks. Okay, and let's go to the next example. And also we have process next tick in Node.js. And let's see our diagram. And they just wrote that we have process next tick, but we don't have it on diagram. And let me find the description, and you can read it, and I'll just execute my code. And I have Node.js 6, and as you can see, we have start and then next ticks. And this next tick will be executed after each phase of the event loop. So we'll have it after timers, after the pending callbacks, after idle, after poll, after check, and after close callback. And let's see next example. And as you can see, we have start, then set timeout, then input output events with read file, and after that we have next tick, and inside input output event we also have the timeout and set immediate. And can you guess the answer of the output? And let me clear it and execute my script. And let's check what we have. In the main thread and call stack we have start, then end, and after that process next tick was executed. It was executed even before timers. And let's check, and then we have the timeout at its timers phase, and as you can see, then we have read file callback, and inside it we have immediate and timeout. Okay, and let's go to the next example, example 8. And also we can deal with promises in Node.js. I'm going to clear it and run my Node.js script. And as you can see, we have start and end promise. And here we have microtasks queue. And let's check its priority in the next example. And we have example 9. And here we have start end as usual, then read file, and also timeout and promise. And can you guess the answer? And I'm going to clear and run my script. Okay, and we have start and promise, set timeout, and read file callback. And that's because microtask queue has a priority over this event loop. Macrotask queue, like timers, and poll check, and our promise was executed first. But then we have next example with process next tick. It's similar to the previous, but now we have promise next tick, and let's try to execute it. And see, and as you can see, this time process next tick was executed before our promise. And that's because this process next tick has priority or microtask queue, and then our promise was executed before these phases of event loop. And let's go to the next example. The example 11 is similar to the previous example, and I only added callbacks to read file function. Okay, and let's try to run it. We'll see. Okay, and we have start, then end, and then we have process next tick from the main module, and then we have promise, and then set timeouts for the timers phase, and that the engine started to execute read file, and we have read file callback, and inside this callback process next tick was executed, and only then promise. And let's move on to the next example. And as you can see, I've added more callbacks set immediate here, and also process next tick. And it's quite a big example, and let's try to run it. And I need to change file name, and let's see. First of all, we have start, then end, and then process next tick was executed before event loop, before timers, and then we have promise, and it was microtask queue, and then we have set timeout and console log set timeout. And as you can see, this time we have process next tick here, and it was executed before read file, and only then all phase was executed, and we have console log read file callback, and then next tick. And as you can see, promise has priority over set immediate, and also set immediate is the next phase of event loop, but promise was executed, and we have this console log message, and only then set immediate was executed. And let me clear my console and go to the next example. And next example is pretty simple, and we have queue microtasks, and this example demonstrates the order of execution between queue microtask and promise resolve. And let me run this script, and as you can see, we have start and from call stack, and then we have promise resolve then, and after that queue microtask, and that's because we have microtask queue, and this promise was added first, and only then we added these microtasks, and after that set timeout was executed. And let's move on to the next example, and this time I changed the order of queue microtask and promise resolve, and also added process next tick. And can you guess the answer? Okay, and I'm going to run my script, and as you can see, we have start end from call stack, and then we have process next tick. And this time we have queue microtask, and only then promise resolve then. And that's because I changed the order. And at the end we have set timeout. Okay, and let's move on to the last task, and it's task about blocking event loop. I'm going to clear my console, and let's take a look at the code. And as you can see, I use new date and get seconds to track the time, and we have start, we have end, and we have some blocking code at the end of the file, and also before we have the timeout and promise and read file. Okay, and let me run my script, and let's see. We have start, then blocking code, then end, promise, set timeout, and read file callback. And this example demonstrates how you can block event loop with some blocking code with, I don't know, calculation or some loop. And as you can see, the whole our event loop should wait for 3 seconds. Also, we have timeout like 0 seconds, and also we have promise and input-output operations. And we executed start, only then we executed this line, and it provides end, and then we got this promise with seconds. After that, we moved to the poll phase, and this red file callback was executed, and at the end we have set timeout callback. And that's all that I have for today. If you like the video, subscribe to my Dev Web App channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.